Hello beautiful people, and welcome to another Galactic Mayan astrology report. This is a report for Sunday the 9th of April 2023. So we're progressing now with our 260-day journey. We're almost completing the first third of our evolutionary spin. And the Wavespell that we're moving into is the White Worldbridger. So we've kind of gone through a 13-day process with the Red Skywalker, and that's all about awakening to what our heaven on earth is, what our piece of heaven on earth is, and how we bring it into actualization. You know, what does it look like? What does it feel like? How do we live it? And what is the reality of it? What is the reality of it, you know? And it's interesting, isn't it? Like seeing the things that unfold, and not just the things that unfold, what emerges through the unfolding. So like for me, in the past 13 days, a dear sister of mine transitioned out of the human realm. And obviously within that, there's lots of layers of experience and feeling. But the one thing that I can really witness, particularly looking at it through the context of the Red Skywalker, is the way that we are rewriting the ways in which we deal with challenging things within community. And, you know, the community that I'm within, we've just pulled together. We've pulled together and we're supporting each other and, you know, feeling that, like, my experiences of grief, I've had a lot of experience of grief, and my experiences of grief as a younger person within the communities that I was within then was a very, we just kind of don't feel it, you know, like Northern UK dissociation, you just get on with it. And witnessing now this very different community that I'm existing within, where we just cry together if that's what's present. You know, we soften into it together and we allow it to be processed together. And witnessing, you know, that is heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is not without pain. Heaven on earth, you know, for humanity is not without, you know, the depth of feeling. Because I think one of the big things that comes through being a human is emotionality. That's the thing that we have as a gift, that's also incredibly difficult. You know, to have our sensitivity switched on is a phenomenal experience. It changes the way that we interact with the world and reality, but it also means that there is less capacity to live externally as a constant, which is what the previous paradigms asked us to do and fucked us up. Or we got fucked up and then we did that, or whichever, chicken and the egg, whatever. But it's interesting then that we go from this like heaven on earth, this is what it looks and feels like, here's the challenges within it, to then the White Worldbridger. So the White Worldbridger is the 13-day process that we're moving into, or the archetype of the 13-day process that we're moving into on Sunday. And the White Worldbridger is about the death of the old world. So it's like we get this this taste of the heaven on earth, and then the process that follows it is the death of the old. So, you know, sometimes with certain archetypes or certain tones that are about death and shedding and transformation in that way, I'm thinking of like the lunar tone and the spectral tone, and like the White Worldbridger, we can often have this like anticipatory, like, ooh, what the fuck's gonna happen? You know, a bit like a Mercury retrograde dread, or an eclipse season fear, you know. But really, you know, what we get to see when we come out of the dualistic perspective is that actually, you know, in order to birth, we have to die. You know, the things that we've been doing, the ways that we've been existing that have been in the way of this heaven on earth that we are here to create as a planetary body, the stuff that's in the way has been created by us, you know, and therefore it's a part of us, and that part of us has to dissolve in order for the new to come. So when we meet these edges, you know, I'm thinking of the white Worldbridgers that I know in my life, these people that are real gateways, and sometimes, you know, the gateway can come through. I was speaking to a friend about this today and seeing how like a lot of one of the things that really landed for me was like, you know, a lot of the initiations of the now, particularly within the spiritual community, you might sign up for a thing because on the surface it's like, we're a mystery school and we're going to take you through this experience. But actually what seems to happen a lot of the time is that it's the shadow, unconscious experience within the container that the facilitators have got no idea that they're transmitting that brings the mystery school evolution opportunity. So this is kind of the Worldbridger energy. You know, it's like sometimes what we think we're going to do, what we think we're going to transform, what we think we're going to experience, it's actually what's underneath it that's going to give us the medicine. And in order to go through these bridging of worlds, you know, we do have to bridge it. We have to go from, you know, one thing into another thing. But in order for that to happen, in order for the bridge to materialise, there has to be a death. And, you know, there's so many ways that death supports us, you know, and it's a very political integration for us. It's like a political move to implant the fear of death, you know, and looking at different cultures in the world where the idea that death is not the finality is integrated into the society, though there may still be a lot of like power imbalance, there's a deeper fulfillment within the human experience because there is this trust and this surrender. So the white signs are these refining signs, and I always explain that as like, you know, it's like when something's out of focus on a camera, it needs to be wiggled to be brought into focus. So sometimes what can happen, and I do think that maybe the eclipse season and perhaps Mercury retrograde begin within this Wavespell, don't quote me on that, do your own research, maybe. But as with these initiatory experiences, sometimes what happens is that we've got to go a bit out of alignment to get into alignment. And, you know, we're all, if we're doing the conscious evolution process, it's something that comes up all the time, isn't it? And it's like, you know, if we are triggered, we're at a gateway. Choo! Thanks, I definitely needed to hear that. And just really anchoring in that understanding and that like that new perception, that new earth perception of this is not a bad thing. This feeling is not a bad thing. This feeling is a really good thing because it's giving me an evolutionary potential. So it may be that during this refinement process, things come up and you go a bit wobbly, but the wobble was already within, you know, and this is something that actually came up in my therapy session today. It's this realization of like, these triggers, these fears, like deep fears that we have around things coming up or whatever. It's like, actually those things are in a constant, they're like constantly humming in the background. And if we are not given the opportunity to turn it up so that we can see it, so that we can love it and integrate it and release it, that hum that comes through many different coping mechanisms and all the wonky shit, the weird perceptions, the blah, blah, blah. If we don't have the chance to bring the hum into the focus, the hum continues and it drains us, it drains our life force, it drains our experience. So with the Worldbridger, you know, perhaps it's an opportunity for the things that have been humming in the background to come a little bit more into focus so that we can utilize them as the gateway that they are. And, you know, the other piece of this whole like Worldbridger and conscious evolution process thing is that it's not just ours. Like in the words of second wave feminism, the personal is political. And what I mean by that is, you know, I'm kind of bastardizing that a little bit. but the personal is the bigger picture. You know, there's whatever we're experiencing because we've received conditioning that has wired us to experience it like that. Sometimes that may have been through political agenda. Sometimes that may have been an unconscious wound that's passed down through the family. You know, so all these different potentialities. But it's not just ours. So there's something beautiful that can come through that depersonalization when it comes to being able to love ourselves through it. But there's also, and with other people as well. So when we witness that shadowy behaviour, it's like, oh, I feel like you're being a right dickhead right now. But I also know that there's a part of you that's really struggling. And that's why that's happening. And that struggle, maybe you were taught to struggle in that way. Maybe that's a protection from something that you've been through, like whatever the thing is. And it just really, you know, it's so important for us to recognise that we're all the same. No matter how elevated somebody may seem, no matter how successful, no matter how influential, no matter how what, when it actually comes down to it, we are all human and we all experience the reality in different ways, but also in the same way. When a code, a trigger, a pattern is firing, on some level we don't know it yet, we haven't seen it yet, and therefore what we can use or what we can cultivate through that awareness is compassion for all of us. So kind of looking at what you were feeling into for the last Wavespell around your heaven on earth, this Wavespell gives you an opportunity to see, it gives us an opportunity to see like what needs to die for that to live. And when we talk of death, you know, if we think of death as the way that we manifest, yeah, we've got like particles of light that we as creator consciousness essentially mold into matter. You know, we mold it into something on the earth plane. Now, when that something dies or is broken down, those particles of light remain. So whether that's inside of us, or whether that's a person, or whatever the death is, it breaks down into fuel. So the parts of us that might fear this idea of death, again, this is a communication that we can have of like, we're just doing, somebody that I'm close to was talking about this recently, and I was just like, yes, it's the Pokemon evolution, you know, it's like the death that brings the upgraded version. So just holding ourselves with that awareness, if we are in a death, if we clock something that needs to transform or whatever it is, just holding shame from that space of like, dude, we're evolving into something bigger and brighter and better, and those particles are going to transform into particles of light, and they're going to be utilised as this like golden fire for the next phase of who we are. So during this Wavespell, you know, there might also be things going on collectively. We might also get to witness, you know, yeah, wonky shit. But seeing that, you know, maybe the wonky stuff will start to go down, to be transmuted into light. So I hope that you have a really beautiful Wavespell. I'm filming this a little bit early because when Sunday lands, I'm going to be in a castle, having loads of fun with my tribe. Yeah, it feels really wonderful. Again, just to see where we're at. And, you know, personally, I'm really fucking grateful for this community that I found. Soul Tribe, Manchester. You what? Because in a similar way to like Burning Man vibes, it's based on the principle of equality and co-creation. It's anarchistic community and also super duper spiritual. And if you've heard me chat on about stuff, that's totally my vibe. But also, you know, where I feel that we're meant to be going with serenity. Yeah, serenity. I thought I said sobriety. Interesting. But with sovereignty, in community. We need those things in spiritual society as opposed to fucking hierarchy. Mate, we've done eons of that shit. No, no, no. No more, thank you. So yeah, happy Wavespell. Oh, and thanks for all the birthday love for last Wavespell. I had a right nice time. And I totally forgot to say, beaming back in, on Monday the 24th of April, so I got a big download, do another Galactic Mayan course, 20 days from the 24th of April, that's the Red Dragon Day, journey in the 20 archetypes. So we're doing a deep dive into the calendar, we're journeying and exploring the mechanics of the calendar, how to integrate it into our lives, how to attune with the natural rhythm of time, and going through the gateway of what it means to consciously evolve through the calendar. We're connecting with the 20 different archetypes and the tones and the Wavespell processes, but we're also exploring what it means to be a galactic human on this planet. I'm inviting some guest teachers onto the course too to bring transmissions. So you're going to get video content. It's going to be like a content drop every week with video content, written content to support your integration, journaling prompts to help you to understand yourself. So you're going to really get to understand your inner workings through the calendar. And then also live ceremonies. So we'll have an opening ceremony and then we will meet every week. And then we'll have a closing ceremony. And during those ceremonies, who knows what's gonna come through? But it will be juicy and it will be big. And I'm just feeling to charge 56 quid for it. That ends up as 11 when you add the numbers together. But yeah, 56 quid, 20 days, online container too. I'm gonna set up a Facebook group so we can really journey it together and you can share your learning, you can share your insights. And essentially just creating that really beautiful ceremonial container where esoteric wisdom is transmitted and integrated. So if you want to get in on that, transfer me some monies down below is all the info. And yeah, I'd love to have you as part of it. It's going to be lit. And if you don't follow me on social media, not really using Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I'm going to be sharing much more about all of this and the course and everything through there. I just don't have capacity at the minute to be like in multiple social media outlets on my website and blah, blah, blah. So Facebook is the best port of call if you want to know the stuff that I'm up to and hear my musings. I do like a good muse on the human experience. So Jyoti IMIX, same my name, which is the name of my channel. Find me on FacyB and you will have access to all of the free content that I give out as well. Sending you so much love. Thank you for tuning in and have a beautiful, beautiful Wavespell.